Next, let's have a look at the chordae. So these chordae are basically collagenous but covered by endothelium. Okay, so endothelium covered collagenous strings on these chordae. These chordae are of basically two types. Okay, so the types of chordae are true chordae and false chordae. The true chordae are the ones which attach the papillary muscle and the cusps. The false chordae, they basically stretch from the ventricular walls. Let's say from the diaphragmatic surface to the sternocostal surface. They run across like this. They connect the surfaces of the ventricles. They are called the false chordae. So the false chordae do not require any significant discussion, because they are not very significant here. Whereas the true chordae are the ones which attach the papillary muscles with the chordae. The cusps. So between the papillary muscles and the cusps are the true chordae. These true chordae are of further 6 types. So what are the 6 types of true chordae? The first types of true chordae are the commissural cords. So what are the commissural cords? So commissural cords are the ones which attach at the commissures. Okay, here you find the commissural cords. So these commissural cords are attached at the junctions between the cusps. So I told you the commissures of the cusps. So the anterior cusp, posterior cusp. Between the anterior and posterior cusp there is a indentation or junction. This is called antero-posterior commissure. So at the commissure you will have the chordae. So these chordae here, this chordae is called the commissural chordae. Okay, so this is the commissural chordae. And similarly, between the posterior and the septal, you have the another commissural chordae. So at the commissures we have the first category of cords, true cords. They are called the commissural chordae. And the second category of chordae, true chordae, are the cleft chordae. What are these cleft chordae? So see here, this is the posterior cusp. The posterior cusp, I told you, it has got 2 clefts. Okay, so you have the base or the attached margin of the cusp, and you have, this is the free margin. This is the free margin of the cusp. Here you have the chordae attached, but in posterior cusp it has got 2 clefts. So the free margin is like this and this. So it is like this. So it has got 2 further indentations. So this is the cleft. Okay, this is the basal area, and here it has got the first cleft and then the second cleft here. So you have the chordae tendineae attached to this cleft. These chordae are called the cleft chordae. Okay, so you have the commissural chordae and you have the cleft chordae. So here you can see the cleft chordae. So first type is commissural chordae, second one's the cleft chordae. The third type of chordae are called the free marginal chordae. The free marginal chordae are attached to the free margin of the cusps. Okay, attached to the free margin of the cusps. That is the free marginal chordae. And then you have the fourth type, that is the rough zone chordae. The rough zone chordae are attached to the rough zone of the cusp. So I told you the cusps have got 3 zones: rough zone, clear zone and basal zone. So the cords that are attached to the rough zone are called the rough zone chordae. The rough zone chordae. Okay, and then the fifth type of chordae are the deep chordae. They are called the deep chordae. The deep chordae are attached exactly at the junction between the clear zone and the rough zone of the cusp. And the last and the sixth type of cusps, so the last one is called the basal chordae. Okay, this is basal chordae that are attached to the basal region of the basal chordae that are attached to the basal region of the cusps. So what are the 6 types of, these are the 6 types of the cords. What are they? Commissural cords, cleft cords, free marginal cords, and then rough zone cords, the deep cords and the basal cords. Remember, the commissural cords and cleft cords are triangular in shape, or not triangular, fan shaped. So you have one cord here and you have small cords. So this is the triangle shaped commissural and cleft chordae. Okay, And then you have the third type, that's free marginal chordae. They have one string and from there several branches, that is the free marginal chordae. And the fourth type are the rough zone chordae. The rough zone chordae are one and then they have three branches, they are okay, they have three branch like structures. Which one? The free marginal chordae. So these three chords, one of the chords is attached to the free margin, the second one is attached to the junction between the clear and the rough zones, and the third band is attached to the area in between the first two. The fourth type of the chordae are these. And then you have the fifth one, that is the deep chordae. These deep chordae pass behind the septal cusps and then they attach directly to the junction between the rough and the clear zones. And the last ones, the basal chordae. The basal chordae, they do not have attachments to the papillary muscles. Instead they arise from the wall of the ventricle and then they attach to the basal zone of the cusps. So this is about the chordae. And then the next component here is the papillary muscles. So these papillary muscles are parts of trabeculae carneae. So trabeculae carneae are the main portion of the rough zone of the right ventricle. All these are the trabeculae carneae. These trabeculae carneae are of three types: ridges, bridges and pillars. These are the ridges. Ridges are nothing but the longitudinal elevations. Ridges are ridges, the first ones, the ridges are, they are just longitudinal elevation. They are most numerous within the right ventricle. Okay, so these ridges are, one second, I got a call. So these ridges, these ones are the ridges. These ridges are linear elevations. The one example for the linear elevation is the supraventricular crest. The supraventricular crest is the one that actually separates this one here, the supraventricular crest that separates the rough and the smooth parts of the right ventricle. And then you have the bridges. Bridges, they just connect the ventricular walls, the sternocostal wall to the diaphragmatic surface, etc. So example for this bridges is the septomarginal trabeculae is the septomarginal trabeculae, this one. The septomarginal trabeculae, it is also known as the moderator band. So it passes from the ventricular septal wall to the base of the anterior papillary muscle. Okay, so here is the anterior papillary muscle, this one, the anterior papillary muscle. So you have the septomarginal trabeculae or the moderator band. So that's a type of bridges. And then we have the papillae, the papillary muscles. The papillary muscles are two in number: anterior papillary muscle and posterior papillary muscle. So you have the anterior papillary muscle here. This one is the anterior papillary muscle, and then we have the posterior papillary muscle here. The posterior papillary muscle is attached to the diaphragmatic surface. Okay, additionally sometimes a septal papillary muscle may be present. So the trabeculae carneae consists of ridges, bridges and papillae. So the ridges are septomarginal trabeculae, bridges are just attaching the ventricular walls, example septomarginal trabeculae, and the third ones are pillars, anterior and posterior papillary muscles, which give rise to attachments to the chordae tendineae.